The drama surrounding FIFA's new hydration break policy at the 2026 World Cup started quietly enough, hidden inside an announcement about player welfare that almost nobody bothered to question when it was first issued back in March, has since become one of the most discussed and most criticized decisions in recent tournament history. Picture this scene, because it actually happened in front of the entire world. In the second half of Qatar versus Switzerland, 22 professional athletes stood on the pitch, water in hand, completely ready to resume play. And the referee made them wait. Not for an injury, not for a safety check. He held the match frozen while a Whitney Houston song blared through the stadium speakers and the clock continued ticking for exactly one reason. Fox had not finished airing its commercials yet. That is the World Cup in 2026. A referee suspending a live international football match. Not for the players and not for the game itself, but so a television network could squeeze in the final seconds of an advertising break. And once you understand why that moment happened, you understand precisely what FIFA does not want anyone thinking about while they watch this tournament. Let's start with what the rule actually says, because the name attached to it is doing an extraordinary amount of work to disguise what it really is. FIFA has mandated a 3-minute stoppage around the 22nd minute of each half across every single one of the 104 matches at this tournament. The official match clock keeps running through the entire stoppage, which guarantees at least 3 additional minutes of stoppage time added onto every half played. The stated reason is player welfare and, in FIFA's own language, ensuring equal conditions for all teams across all matches. Hydration for safety. Here is the detail that dismantles the entire justification on its own. These breaks happen regardless of weather conditions. They happen inside climate-controlled domes. They happen in genuinely mild, comfortable temperatures. The tournament opener between Mexico and South Africa was played in Mexico City at 23 degrees Celsius, a pleasant June evening by any reasonable standard. And the match was stopped at the 24-minute mark anyway, inside the Azteca, the same stadium where Pelé and Maradona created football history, so that fans watching at home could sit through 180 seconds of a home improvement commercial. There was no heat to protect anyone from in that stadium that night. There was only an advertisement that needed to run. So ask the question FIFA keeps carefully avoiding. Who is this rule actually serving? Is it for the fans watching at home or in the stadium? Almost nobody on the planet tunes into a World Cup hoping for more scheduled commercial breaks. The entire appeal of this sport, what separates it from American football and basketball and baseball, is that it does not stop. 90 minutes of unbroken, free-flowing action with no timeouts and no clock stoppages built into the format. Fans have mocked these breaks from the opening whistle of the tournament. It is clearly not designed for them. Is it for the players competing in genuinely dangerous heat? In matches played under brutal conditions, absolutely, and nobody honest argues otherwise. But nobody requires an emergency rehydration ceremony inside an air-conditioned dome, sitting at a comfortable 23 degrees. The players never asked for this specific structure. It is not really for them either, at least not in the blanket every single match way it has been implemented. So follow the money, because that is exactly where the real answer has been sitting the entire time. Back in March, FIFA announced that broadcasters would be permitted to sell advertising during these mandatory breaks. Read that again slowly. FIFA did not simply create a stoppage for player welfare. It opened that stoppage as a brand new, dedicated, sellable advertising slot positioned directly in the middle of live competitive play, which allows FIFA to charge broadcasting networks a significantly higher premium for the television rights themselves. The networks moved immediately. Fox in the United States cut to full-screen commercials during these windows. Broadcasters in Brazil and Ireland took the same approach. The hydration break, by any honest reading of how it has actually been used, functions as a revenue product wearing the costume of a safety policy. And we know with certainty that this was a choice rather than a necessity, because some broadcasters simply declined to participate. In the United States, Telemundo refused to cut away from the match at all, keeping cameras on the pitch throughout, showing player huddles, replays, and analysis instead of commercial content. Broadcasters in Mexico and the United Kingdom made the same decision. Same rule, same mandatory break, and yet multiple networks managed to avoid interrupting the football entirely, which means every blank ad-filled cutaway that Fox aired was a deliberate decision, not a structural requirement of the rule itself. Then, Fox made an error that exposed exactly how far priorities had shifted. FIFA's own regulation states that broadcasters must return from the advertising break a full 30 seconds before play resumes. In that very first match, Fox returned from a full-screen commercial roughly 10 seconds after the ball was already back in active play. They missed live World Cup action in order to finish selling a product to their audience, which is considered close to a cardinal sin in sports broadcasting under normal circumstances. The flip side of this is arguably worse, because it reveals that referees themselves are being instructed to wait. In the match between Brazil and Morocco, the players were ready to resume before the full 3 minutes had even elapsed, but the restart was deliberately held until the advertisements had finished airing completely. Morocco had taken the lead just minutes before that break and looked clearly the better side on the pitch in that moment. After the enforced stoppage, the momentum had completely evaporated, and Brazil equalized shortly afterward. A team's defining World Cup moment was effectively drained away so that a commercial could finish its scheduled run. Hydration. Here's the detail that elevates this from simply cynical to something closer to insulting. This is the same FIFA that arrived at this tournament on what it described as a crusade against wasted time on the pitch. They are penalizing throw-ins not taken within 5 seconds. Substitutes are given exactly 10 seconds to leave the field. Goal kicks face punishment for unnecessary delay. Goalkeeper tactical timeouts have been banned outright. FIFA's own head of refereeing, Pierluigi Collina, has barred players from gathering near the bench during goalkeeper injury treatment specifically because he said it disrupts the natural flow of the match. These officials are policing the game second by second to keep it moving at every possible opportunity. And then those same officials insert the single longest deliberate stoppage anywhere in the sport directly into the middle of every half and invite every player to gather around their coach for a full 3 minutes. The exact tactical huddle they explicitly outlawed under one name, they have quietly reinstated under a different one. Coaches have been observed bringing laptops onto the sideline during these breaks. At least one national team coach openly admitted using the time specifically to drill tactical instructions into his players. FIFA banned the tactical timeout, then effectively rebuilt it, renamed it Hydration, and sold advertising space against it. To be fair, because genuine heat is a genuine danger and pretending otherwise would be dishonest, some of these matches will be played in legitimately brutal conditions. Florida is forecasting feels-like temperatures around 105 degrees for certain fixtures. In matches played under that kind of heat, water breaks are not just acceptable, they are essential, and nobody arguing against that point would be correct. But that is precisely what makes the blanket policy so revealing. If this were genuinely about heat protection, the rule would follow the heat the way it did between 2014 and 2022, when breaks were called entirely at the referee's discretion, only when conditions actually demanded intervention. A blanket mandate firing in every single match, in every single stadium, including climate-controlled domes sitting at 23 comfortable degrees, is not a heat policy. It is a billing policy wearing a stethoscope. 3 days into this tournament, and it keeps revealing exactly what it actually cares about. Ticket pricing controversies, empty seats in supposedly sold-out stadiums, and now, a referee freezing a live football match specifically so a commercial break can finish airing on schedule. The hydration breaks are not really the scandal themselves. They are simply the clearest evidence yet that somewhere along the way, this tournament stopped being primarily about the football being played on the pitch. So here is the real question worth sitting with. Genuine player protection or the most transparent cash grab of the entire tournament? Drop your answer in the comments below because this debate deserves an honest conversation. If this breakdown showed you something about what is actually happening behind the scenes at this World Cup, hit that like button and subscribe for coverage that will not pretend a commercial break is somehow for your own benefit.